Hi, my name is Elizabeth Mickey, and I'm going to be covering the last part of our presentation, which is a healthy work environment. So what makes up a healthy work environment? There was a quote in the article by Freed that was stated that Pfeffer was the last name of the person who stated this, but basically defining a toxic work environment is a place where somebody goes to work to make enough money so that they don't have to go back. So basically the opposite of a toxic work environment would be a healthy work environment. And some of the elements that are and that make up a healthy work environment, as stated by the American Nurse Association, which was cited in Marcus and Huston, were that it would be an environment that's safe, so safe for staff and patients, a place that looks out for the safety of everyone who's involved, an area that's empowering, so that would also be true for staff and patients, a place where they are staff is heard with their concerns, patients are heard, and people are empowered in their roles and in their abilities, as well as satisfying. You want to have your job be meaningful, and a way that takes place is feeling that you're recognized and that what you're doing is meaningful. So there was a lot discussed in the article by Freed on how your happiness in life is affected by your work environment. And we spend so much time in our lives at work, and so making sure that our work environment is healthy is a big component of our holistic health. So next, components of a healthy work environment. What is that? What does a healthy work environment look like? And these are standards that were developed by the American Association of Critical Care Nurses. And so there's 6 of them. So skilled communication, they found that when you work in an area where you communicate well, there are less errors, and staff and patients are more satisfied in the care that they're giving, receiving, and just the quality of work overall. True collaboration is the next standard. So this is involving interdisciplinary resources, the physicians, the nurses, the ancillary staff, feeling like you really truly work as a team. That's a huge component of a healthy work environment. And this also affects costs of healthcare as well as nurse retention. So I believe it was in the Freed article, it discussed, and the textbook as well, the Marcus and Huston book, how nurse retention is such a high cost of healthcare because the turnover of training new nurses can be so expensive. So it really does, keeping your staff really does help you be able to provide better care because you have better resources. The third is effective decision making. So when the staff feel like they have a voice in the decisions that are being made, that increases the health of the work environment overall. And then the last 3 components that were discussed were appropriate staffing. So this is a huge issue for patient safety. There are studies that were done that show patients were less likely to die or be seriously injured if there were adequate nurses for the patient load. And then as well, going back to turnover rates, staff are burnt out when they are overloaded constantly, and nobody wants to go to work because they know they're going to have to be overloaded and just be counting down the hours until they can leave. The next one is meaningful recognition. So this is a fundamental human desire to be recognized for what you are doing, for the hard work that you're doing. And in the standards, it went on to say that this shouldn't just be a one-time thing, but this should be a normal, ongoing process in a healthy work environment, that you are continually recognizing your staff for the things that they're doing and in meaningful ways. Not like, oh, here's a piece of candy, good job. but like have it be a normal occurrence that you really recognize people for the work that they do. And finally, authentic leadership. So skilled communicators, team builders, agents for positive change. These are things that you want in your leadership. You want them to be committed to service. You want them to be results oriented and to be role models for collaborative practice. So if you have someone who's divisive and in a power struggle all the time, it's not going to be the kind of leadership that you want in a healthy work environment. So in response to the question of what is my present work environment like? So is your work environment healthy? Is my work environment healthy? I would suggest that we look at those standards, those 6 standards, and see if they're met. So in my experience, I think that the first 3 are really well met where I work, the collaboration, communication, those are really well met. I think where my present work area struggles is adequate staffing, and currently we are out of basically all of our managers. So our authentic leadership, we're hoping, will come in soon and be positive, but definitely the adequate staffing, like when you know you're 9 nurses short for the day, it's rough to come in. So there's definitely room for growth in those areas where I work. So some effective leadership tactics. These are from Freed as well. So they're authenticity, honesty, and trustworthiness. So these are 3 of the main components that they found to be effective leadership tactics. And then it said the most effective leaders create healthy work environments. And then I really liked this quote that was in the article. It says, important activities for promoting a positive climate among employees are compassion, forgiveness, and gratitude. And I just feel like that's really important because compassion means like mercy leading to action. So you really feel for your staff and you do something about meeting their needs. Forgiveness, like I feel like that's the like removing fear from like our mistakes, like offering forgiveness, and then gratitude, that meaningful recognition. I feel like those are really in line with the standards that the critical care nurses put out. And then they backed it up with research that showed that companies that scored higher on these activities actually perform better across 16 different industries. So I feel like that's really a really good way to show it works in lots of different areas, not just in nursing, but when you have these elements in your leadership, you have positive results. And here are our references. Thank you.